No. No.
Call to order the Public Works Committee agenda. Roll call, please.
Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present Counsel LaPierre? Absent. Counsel Net?
Present.
Present Counsel Meany? Absent. Counsel Matul?
Present.
Present.
So what we have is, we want an update on the recent storm we just had, and we're going to also open up for some of the counselors if they have questions. Andy, could you update us on how everything went for the storm?
Sure. Andrew Hall, Commissioner of Public Works. Thanks for having me. So you'd like me to run through a timeline of the storm, or what would you like?
How did we do? Did we have enough trucks on the road? Did all the contractors show up? Or were we short any vehicles?
All right, so for this storm, this time of year, right now, we have 179 pieces of equipment contracted to plow. And of that 179, 164 showed up at the last storm, which is pretty good. But we count on about 10% absenteeism. That's typical.
I have a few questions. I know some of the councils might have a few questions.
Sure. Can I just back you up one step? So that 179, that's less than I'd like to see, as evidenced by the last storm. I mean, that was 7 inches of snow, followed by 2 inches of rain. It was not your normal storm, but there was a lot of snow, and we had trouble clearing it, basically. Ideally, I'd like to see 250 plows contracted, and we haven't seen that for some years.
Okay.
Sorry.
Oh, no, that's fine. Thank you. I had a few questions because the phone calls I received, one of them was, I had 2 people call me. Are there IDs on the truck knowing they're being plowed from the DPW for the city of Lynn? Because one big complaint where people are having their driveways plowed, and now they're building more snowbanks and putting more snow on the street. How can they identify if it's a private contractor, if they're plowing for the city of Lynn?
We used to have a system where contracted snowplows had stickers. The sticker was pretty small. It was like 3 inches by 3 inches that they'd put in the window, and it turned out to be a real hassle. It helped the chaser identify the vehicle, but not so much a resident seeing, because it's a small green sticker. The last time we used them, they were green. 3 inches by 3 inches in the side window, and
You can't see
you can't see it from the curb. You can't see it from a house. I mean, short of a giant magnetic sign on the truck, I'm not really sure what you do to identify these folks.
All right, yeah, that was one of a few questions I had from people. I did have a few more, but I'm just going to ask one more and then let some of the councilors ask.
Sure.
After the storm cleanup, did we have more people on this time? Because I know last time you were here, I asked, our big complaint is after the storm is when we get all the complaints. Did we have more people on for cleanup after the storm?
We had people on, but not, more.
Not extra.
Everyone who would come salt with us was salting with us.
Okay.
That was the end of our resources.
All right. I'm going to open it up to some of the councilors for questions, and I'll come back to the rest of mine. Dr. Allenson?
Thank you, Madam Vice President. First of all, I would like to say thank you to Council President Walsh, who we've been calling in the middle of the night just to bug him about really having accountability of some sort. Also, Councillor Field, who has been receiving all of our anguish, and he has been very professional in in accepting that. But Andy, 2 weeks ago, we asked you to come and report for the storm prior to that, and you guys delivered. Phenomenal, amazing result, not with this recent storm. So my question to you is very simple. Walk us with your preparation, because all of us don't know what the preparation is. We always get secondhand information, and I know Councillor Field tries to field us with information. If a storm is coming, what is the first thing you guys should do? The mayor's office will call for a meeting. Who are the people in that meeting? We are represented by Councillor Field. And then what are the decisions made? Or how come a decision is decided on how to attack or approach the particular storm? Because every storm is different. Sometimes it's like this recent storm. It's just so cold. It froze the whole road. And I know that a couple of days after, we only have 1 or 2 trucks salting the whole city, in a city of 120,000 people. I mean, that's not fair. So walk us through, number one, how do you guys decide on what approach to do, and who are these people that comprises the snowstorm?
Sure. So we would see a forecast of snow coming, and depending on the severity, if we think it's an event that we would have to plow, which in the shape that we're in now, generally we plow at 3 inches. Like you said, every storm varies. But if I saw a forecast for storm coming with 3 inches of snow, I would reach out to the mayor's office and we'd schedule an emergency meeting. And in
So who are those people in the emergency meeting? The mayor?
myself, the mayor, chief of staff, Tebow, Councilor Fields, representative from the fire department, representative from the police department, a representative from the Water and Sewer Commission,
Parking.
schools, the superintendent of schools, or her designee is there, parking.
So walk us, is it a Zoom call, or you guys take one of the office here?
Typically, there's Zoom calls,
It's just a call,
or a video conference through Zoom, yeah.
a video conference, and then you guys decide as a group on how to approach.
Yeah, typically, the way the meetings go typically is I'll lead off with the weather report, what we're expecting, and generally, so if there's a plowable snow event, I'll need to declare a parking ban. And that's, that is fraught with problems, because if there's a parking ban, that gives the residents permissions to park in the school parking lots. And depending on when you lift the parking ban, you could potentially cancel school 2 days for a snowstorm. So that's something that we carefully think about. And
Okay,
yeah, does that answer your question?
that answers my question.
Okay.
Thank you. I know some of the other councilors have also other
Can
questions.
I touch on that a
Yep,
little bit?
Councilor Field.
Okay, so just, I represent, because I'm chair of the Emergency and Public
Safety.
Public Safety and Public Health. So in that meeting, it's always DPW that has the most recent forecast that reports to everybody on the meeting call, whether they need to plow or not. And if they are plowing, it's typically, they're going to call a snow emergency. And then all the departments have kind of a say of how that snow emergency is going to happen and how to prepare for it. There's information from the school and from ISD of who's using the buildings. So, for example, the past couple of storms happened on a Saturday evening. So keeping in consideration that the past storm was on Valentine's weekend and the last 2 storms were both back-to-back on Saturday evenings, and how it affects the businesses locally, especially the restaurants, and comparing it to what other communities do as having like a staggered snow emergency where we're not really, we don't have that really in our ordinance right now. The ordinance states, because it's a declaration by the mayor for a snow emergency, and cars can be towed and ticketed and towed. There's a lot that falls into it that's through ordinance, and Commissioner Hall just touched on that for a second, that if a snow emergency, this is just one example, if a snow emergency extends past 9 p.m., the ordinance current ordinance is that school has to be canceled the next day, because folks have 2 hours after that after that snow emergency ends to remove their vehicles from those designated parking areas. That gives them to 11 p.m. Then it gives the tow company and parking department authority to ticket and tow the vehicles remaining in those public lots. And then it allows ISD's contract with their outside contract to clean up those schoolyards and be ready for school the next day when folks are arriving. Fortunately, the last storm, the past 2 storms happened on the weekend, and what the most recent one was over April vacation. The challenge on some of it is when to call the snow emergency, because DPW has to pre-treat. If they're not pre-treating, you're going to have these icy conditions where people are driving around as the snow is starting, it's packing it down on the road, and you're treating it from the top down rather than from the bottom up. And these plows that are on these trucks are already on the trucks that are treating the roads. They're 11-foot plows. They're on these trucks. They're having a hard time navigating, and that's why we see a lot of the small streets being affected, because if the snow emergency isn't called early enough and those vehicles aren't off these terraces and courts, these trucks that are carrying the salt to pre-treat with an 11-foot plow are really having a challenging time getting down some of those smaller streets with vehicles still parked legally. Also take into consideration if they're calling a snow ban during school hours, when people can park in those designated lots, because there's been in the past, some of the faculty or other events that are going on at school have been blocked in. So they haven't been able to get their own cars out because the snow ban was called too early. So folks that are at the schools, whether it's an after-school activity, a sporting event, the snow emergency gets called at 7 o'clock and somebody has a 6 o'clock practice, people are starting to park their cars there from 5 o'clock on and blocking in some of the faculty and coaches and students, et cetera. So there's so many different components that come into it, not just saying we're going to have a snow emergency. We certainly take into consideration, especially the restaurants on Valentine's Day weekend, back-to-back Saturday evenings, a show that wasn't getting canceled at City Hall to accommodate the downtown area, where we use Johnson Street as one of our parking lots for the public. So how do we designate that as for those attending the show only? So there's a lot of different components for each storm. So it's not the same blueprint for every storm. It depends what time of day, it depends what day of the week, and it depends on what other events may or may not be happening throughout the city. So everybody that's in that meeting has some type of comment period to speak, to share how that affects their school and how every department can support all the others and support DPW. And when it comes down to it, the final component and the most important component is public safety. So if there's a snow event and we need to protect the residents, we need to protect people visiting the city, we need to protect the fire department and police department who will respond to a serious emergency, they need to safely get there, whether it's on a hill or a dead end. They need to safely get there. And that's what the utmost responsibility that the city has, is to protect the public. And if it gets called at 6 o'clock on a Saturday evening, it's in the best interest of public safety, and it's Mother Nature as an inconvenience to restaurants, to businesses, to sporting events, anything that's getting canceled or postponed or whatever. But public safety is always going to have to come first.
Okay, thank you.
Madam Chair, very, very quick, just a follow-up question. I wish we heard that. Thank you, Councilor Field. I wish we heard that from our DPW Commissioner, all of those information as well. But Commissioner Hall, do you coordinate with other cities and towns, especially your group, not the Snow Task Force, not just you per se as DPW Commissioner? Because we hear from other cities and towns that, their snow ban is 8 o'clock while our snow ban is 3 o'clock. So I know the discrepancy with time is important to some of our residents who have no driveways and who just got out of work or just got home from work. So my question is very simple. Do you coordinate with other cities and towns, at least as far as their preparations is concerned?
I wouldn't say coordinate, but I'm familiar with what they're doing, because we're all in the same boat. City of Salem, City of Beverly, City of Saugus, Town of Swampscott, and I consult with those folks, usually via text message, after we decide when our snow ban will be. I communicate that fact to them, and we kind of share back and forth on when theirs begins as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
But keep in mind, like a town like Beverly, where it's a lot more spread out. They don't have the constraints that we do as far as snow emergencies. Just, every town's slightly different, obviously.
Yeah, I just want to know if you have coordination.
The answer is yes, I do.
Okay,
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you, Madam Chair, for calling this meeting. I want to thank the DPW for all the hard work that you guys do. I know it's not easy to get through the winter. My question is, do we have, or can you give us a little information about the process that goes through when we hire new contractors, or what training do they get? And this question stems because this past storm, I saw plow drivers plowing 4 feet away from the curb. There's places where residents have snow markers, and yet the snow plowers are still going 3-4 feet away from the curb. I know that's not something that you or the associate commissioners can control, but do we have any training, or how can we improve that? That's one of the biggest problems that we have right now. Main roads like Chatham Street, Essex Street, they're becoming very narrow. This morning I saw an accident in front of my house because the street was so narrow that two people couldn't drive through. So that's my question. And another thing is that all these plows, many of them, not all of them, many of them, I have seen them driving around with their plows 2-3 inches up from the ground. It's something that we definitely need to address. I know, like I said, it's not something that directly reflects on you, but we need to find a way to train them. There's hotspots that every snowstorm, I have to submit a request 2 or 3 times. There shouldn't be any need if these plows were properly trained. And, I know that each contractor is always assigned to the same route. So why can't they get these hotspots that are always being called on? So the question is, can you tell us a little bit about how you guys train them, or what information do they get when they come in?
Sure. So a lot of the contractors are the same contractors we see year after year, but there are some that are not. And the training, it's not a whole lot of training, I'll admit. We have a orientation meeting at the end of November. I think it was the second week in December this year, where we kind of go over it verbally at our local restaurant. And so that's second week in December. I've got contractors that sign up to plow the day before the snowstorm. And I don't want to turn them away because they haven't been to this orientation meeting. I'm somewhat beholden to them, that I need their help. Your second point of plows driving around with the blades up, that's not acceptable and should not happen. And if you do see something like that happening, I wish you would phone me and we'll straighten it out.
I did phone the associate commissioner.
Say that again, I'm sorry?
When I saw that, I did phone I let the associate commissioner know.
Excellent, okay, thank you. That's the proper way to handle it, because that's money wasted if they're driving around with the blades up. That's no good.
My other question about that, going back to what the pre-treatment that Councilor Allenson was saying, there's a lot of smaller trucks with these contractors, like the F-350s and F-450s, that can handle sanders. Is that an option that they have to be able to use? I know a lot of them have sanders on their trucks. Even if we had to pay more, is that a service that could be added so that they could also treat the roads?
Absolutely. And we've had sanders in our price structure since 2 years ago. If you know of a contractor that's got a sander that's willing to sand for us, let me know who it is, and we'll hire them absolutely.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
I just want to follow up on one of Councilor Matul's questions, the hotspots. I know every year I'm calling in the same 3 streets. Do you guys keep those on file? Because usually your chasers or your plow drivers are in the same area, but it just seems like every year it's the same 3 streets I have to call in again. And I'm like, do you guys have a list saying, make sure you get these side streets because they never get plowed?
Yes, we do. So we have, we call them chasers. They're basically route supervisors. They're the ones that do, some of them are DPW employees. If I had my way, they'd all be DPW employees, or at least all be city employees. They know their way around the city. They know the players. They typically they'll have their own. They'll have a city-issued vehicle. That's good. We like that. What we have now is a series of folks that are just part-timers, and this winter we have 30 eligible chasers, and it wouldn't surprise me at the last storm 15 of them showed up. So that's, we've got a gentleman down at the barn, preparing a plan for the snow event, and if people don't show up, that means, so-and-so has to double up and do 2 routes, and we have to take this guy out of a truck, and he has to go to another route, and it just creates confusion. So that's, if I had to point out the flaw or the weak link in our program, it would be the snow chasers. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. And if you have contractors, like I said, there's a union issue to some degree, but more often than not, we don't have the available union employees to operate the sanders, and we hire contractors who have sanders.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Medji-Nadre?
Thank you. I just wanted to follow up again with Council Matul's question, which was my question, but I wanted to ask the same question. I really feel I got a lot of complaints about we had the parking ban, and then still the side, like the snow was not plowed all the way to the curb, so it was a lot, and it's causing a big problem still with the streets being very narrow. I also got a couple of complaints from people who were telling me that after they shoveled their driveway, that the plowers would come by and put more snow like directly back into their driveway. Is there anything that can be done about that?
They can wait till the snow emergency is done before they shovel their driveway.
Yeah, so part of the problem is it's like...
That's going to be, that's like a constant cat and mouse.
Yeah.
To say that I'm not going to plow in driveways, I could never say that with a straight face. You can't have one without the other. We can't be pushing it back up onto the curb and not cave in driveways at the same time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, so...
But my advice to the shoveling public would be to start at the house and work your way out to the street and wait to do the street till the last second.
True.
Because there's a very high likelihood you'll have to do it a second time. And that's New England, I'm sorry to say.
Yes, okay, and what about as far as the snowbanks? Because cars are now still parked on snowbanks and things like that. Maybe we needed to call maybe not cancel the snow parking ban so early so that they would have more time to... I don't know what the answer is, but I'm asking you.
Yeah, and these are the things that we consider when we lift the parking ban. A lot of times, like in this instance, the most recent storm, the parking ban was lifted at 10 a.m. on Sunday the 16th. It was pouring rain, and people were, whether you lift the ban or not, they start bringing the cars out and they start shoveling snow into the streets. It's super frustrating for me and the DPW folks.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that no, we cannot accommodate. I mean, no, we can't make that happen. But it's a cause and effect type thing. If we vow not to plow in anyone's driveway, then you would have a much less. The plow job would be worse. Let's put it that way. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, definitely. I'm just concerned about, I have a couple seniors that are concerned about this issue.
Sure.
As well, so.
Well, I appreciate your constructive input.
Yeah.
Councilor LaPierre?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I know we're under a time crunch here. We're gone over already. Andy, thank you for joining us. And I'm going to try to economize my words without repeating what you've already heard. I've been in this seat for almost 10 years. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly of these operations. I still think that, and my wife, this could be she may call this a flaw, but I am a fastidious, meticulous, attention to detail person. If it's not organized, I don't want anything to do with it. So with that said, I really do still think, after just being here a decade, that there is something lacking in our systems in order to make sure that either every resident call or a councilor call or a dead end or a terrace or anything that has to do with snow removal per se doesn't fall through the cracks, and what that tracking system may look like from your perspective. Because I take an intake of a call and I don't get any of the flow and en masse that ward councilors get. Recognizing that, myself, Councilor Field, Councilor McLean, Councilor Net, we partner with our ward council colleagues. We cover them, we help and assist, we complement their efforts. We're assuming they are in constant contact with you folks, and then we follow through accordingly. But I'm just trying to, and I had to get involved in Councilor Chakoudas' ward with her help, thankfully, and this is not a knock toward DPW, it actually was other city agencies that were lacking, vis-a-vis Lynn Housing, vis-a-vis private businesses, also perhaps water and sewer. There were problems throughout the city because of what Councilor Ellingson said around the sheer coldness of the storm and the after effects of that. However, I'm just begging, hoping on a lock here that everything's organized down there so that we don't keep running into the same concerns and problems and wasted either text, calls, emails from the same residents. I can tell you that we use the term hotspots, that these hotspots need to be documented and dealt with, and somehow they have to go from a red to a green clear. And I want to thank George Potter, who was helping me with some of my demands on this most recent storm. And they got addressed, which is a credit to you and the department. But I'm looking overall at how you systematically approach the storms, either small or large, and what are in place down the DPW that assures us as electeds and or our residents that things are going to be dealt with in a timely manner, and you prioritize, obviously, the highlands and hills and other parts of the city that are in grave danger right from the start of a storm. We get all that, but that there's a system in place with your plows and chasers and you guys supervising those folks to ensure us that we have confidence. Because I have the term in my head, learned helplessness. I feel like it's battered wife syndrome here. Every storm we go through could be remarkable because maybe it was small snowfall and we were really prepared and had overstaff and did a great job of salt and sand prior to. And then we have storms that are really more difficult, that have the cold, lingering temperatures. So I go into like a little bit of a PTSD every time there is a snow emergency because I know that the same people are going to call me, and sometimes they call at odd hours. We're always on taking calls and so forth. But I just want to be reassured, maybe you can do that with your team, that you guys have a system in place that works and that you're confident in that system and that we can expect that your storms are taken, storm by storm, but there's an overarching systematic approach to getting rid of the snow removal. That's all my comments are. Thank you.
Councilor Net.
Andy, thank you for being here. What is the best communication, whether texting or calling? What is I prefer texting. Every time I text you and Lisa, I always get respond back right away. So tell us what is the best way for us to contact you, to reach out to you, so that way that you won't forget and that way that we know that the message goes through to you.
Yeah, I would say that a text message to Associate Commissioner Nerrick. Lisa Nerrick is the liaison between you folks and our operation.
Okay.
So my answer to your question is text Lisa.
So texting is better way.
That's the problem.
She's away.
Unless she's on vacation. She was on vacation. She deserves a vacation, but she is our go-to.
I just got to say, Associate Commissioner Lisa Nerrick has been very responsive to our text messages.
Yes.
So thank you to her.
Councilor Welsh.
Thank you.
Welsh?
Just real quick, Andy. Why the 10 o'clock call off? I mean, I know there's a lot of variables to the storms and things, and I get that. But like, why on a Sunday when there's a holiday? Why did just what was the thought behind it? Just so I know.
So the plows, wholesale plowing, I'll call it, the major plow operation, the contractors were dismissed at 9 a.m. And the areas that we had some plows that stayed on as kind of a cleanup team, and it was apparent that people weren't respecting the parking ban to begin with. So rather than to further impact people on that Sunday morning, I said lift it at 10 a.m. Okay. And I don't think, truthfully, you and I had a conversation about that, and you expressed your thoughts otherwise. And I don't believe, and I still don't believe, that if we had waited till noontime, things would have been any different. Because I think what caused the most impacts after this most recent storm was the 2 inches of rain and then the sudden freeze afterwards.
Yeah. So when the snow, just because, I mean, I've been through this too, once it rained, right, the weight of that snow, you weren't moving it back with the trucks that we have plowing the street, right? I mean, is that fair to say?
Yes, it is.
I mean, and the majority of the heavies that we have are allocated into the highlands in areas that are hills. And I have to say, I drive around there quite a bit, and those particular areas seem to have gotten a lot of pushback and stuff, and they look good. I think the size of the vehicles and them not getting to the curb earlier on before the snow happened, I mean, the rain happened, I'm sorry, was probably the biggest impact. Like, because you could have moved that before the rain came. So, like, I think that's got to be probably back to telling the guys how to plow some of these areas. They've got to push those things back to the curb.
Right.
Because these things happen, right?
Yep.
And just from experience here, too, on the council, when we ask the DPW to push that stuff back to the curb, that means on the sidewalks, okay? So I want everyone to be aware that we're also going to get phone calls about people mad that that's on the sidewalk and they can't move it now. So it's a very delicate balance here.
In the perfect scenario, it would get pushed back to the curb during the plow event, before the ban is lifted, and we wouldn't have this issue. But, if due to lack of training or lack of desire to, damage their vehicles, the contractors don't get it back to the curb, and it was left over from the storm the previous weekend, it kind of creeps in, and then you become in a situation that we're in right now.
Right. So I think we got to try to express that to the guys. I think there's been a lot of institutional knowledge kind of lost among those contractors over the years. There was guys that did it for 30 years, and they knew the quirks of the streets and stuff, and we have some newer people doing it now. So I think reinforcing it, I think it's gotten a little better in some areas, especially in my ward, that get forgotten. But just on a note to help you a little bit, I'm curious, people putting snow back in the street has been a problem. And I drive around, I see streets before people shovel, then all of a sudden all the snow shows back up. What is the authority to put a stop to people putting snow back in the street? I don't know. Over the years, it's kind of changed. Yeah,
there's an ordinance prohibiting it for certain. And I don't have the ordinance with me, but you're not supposed to put snow back. You're not supposed to shovel snow into the street.
So over the years, who would issue that ticket to somebody that may be doing that? Do we know who has the authority? I don't know if Attorney Lamanna may know. Do you know, Jim, by chance?
My understanding is inspection services, I believe under a prior mayoral administration, they encouraged neighbors to turn on other neighbors with videos and the like. That did have some success where we caught people in the action. Yeah. But unless you're there when it happens, it makes it difficult to enforce.
Okay, thank you. So I'm just trying to, we can criticize DPW about some of the lacking things, but I know that's one of the things that's been a problem for you.
Sure.
And I would say that if someone's blatantly blowing snow on the street and somebody sees it, that, that has to be reported. It's got to be fixed, because that's not fair to the neighbors either. The people that travel those streets, it's not fair to. But I would try to get ahead of talking to those contractors about it's got to get to the curb. Like, they've got to do it early on, because these are the factors that happen.
This is what happens.
This is what happens. It freezes. The variables in these storms are all different. The timing's different. And I know we're still short plow contractors, right? How many do we typically want in the city?
I would feel good if I had 250.
250. How many do we have?
Right now, I have 179, so I'm 60 short.
Yeah. So that puts us a little further behind on the storm. So just when you guys look at pulling the snow emergency, I know the people are out there, cars are moving, you got to compensate time-wise for the loss of the contractors that we don't have, Right. And the follow-up, because we've had a lot of discussions about widening streets. I mean, I drive around the city every day, and if I can't get down the street with the truck I'm driving, the fire engine's probably not going to, so it's a concern. So loader-wise, how many loaders do you have or front-end loaders to widen streets if we had to?
4.
You have 4. Okay, so, like,
3.5, I'll say.
yeah, okay. We have a half of one. We have a half of one. But I think that's got to get done. Like, we discussed, I told you some areas that I saw that I thought were bad. Those are the pinch points that even people at DPW know are a problem, and you guys know. So the follow-up afterwards and trying to get the staff in is going to be is important. I mean, we got to try to get those streets opened up as best we can after the storm. But if it doesn't become a problem during the operation, it probably, mitigates some of the follow-up to it. So just some thoughts and some discussion about it.
No, I appreciate your constructive criticism. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone have any other questions? Because I know we're really running behind here. Councilor Field?
Thank you, Madam President, Vice President. Yeah, I have 2 comments. Just on a lot of the colleagues' questions. Personally, just being on the call, I thought the snow emergency was going to end sooner than 10. It was discussed 6, 7 originally. So it's decided by the DPW of when that's going to end after the snow event. I know it was kind of crunch time because it became the perfect storm where it snowed. People tried to get up the snow because they're listening to the forecast, get it up before it rains. How much further do you want it to extend because they're already packing it down out in the street by driving around and trying to move around and going to church or whatever they're doing. I had thought it was going to end sooner, so I was surprised that it ended as late as 10 o'clock with everything that was discussed in the forecast, and then the quick deep freeze where salt's not going to do anything. We noticed all week long. My one question that I have for you, Andy, is now that I know that you have, I think you mentioned 30 chasers, 15 showed up, who are they reporting back to? Who oversees them? Because like Councilor LaPierre says, we support our ward councilors. This past storm that we're discussing now, I received more concerns from people that had never reached out before, because a number of the hills off of Ward 1 and the pictures that I'm seeing that they're taking, I don't need to zoom in to see that the street isn't plowed as it should be, and they're on a hill. So how a storm chaser misses that is beyond me. Some of these images that it looks like a plow came through and then the storm started. Like it's who are these storm chasers reporting back to? Because shame on the plow driver for not doing it, but the storm chasers driving around looking at these routes. We shouldn't be getting these pictures from people that typically wouldn't complain, saying, I hate to complain, but my street, they have every right to complain. And I just don't understand how a storm chaser misses a street. Some of these images that we sent to the Associate DPW Commissioner that day, I'm sure he would be shocked. You'd be shocked by some of these pictures that, how is this happening with the storm chaser?
They're not doing their jobs, basically. So to answer your question, who do they report to? Ultimately, they report to me. And ultimately, I take responsibility for this.
Right. I think they're the ones more than the plows that need to be spoken to. Like, you're letting us, you report to us, you have the eyes. You don't have the equipment, but you have the eyes. You're not in charge of the plowing, but you have to say, that's not a good job and it needs to be done.
Right.
So,
Just
thank you.
One more thought, but I know we gotta move on here. Just to follow up to I know, the longer we're here, the more we think about. I know Councilor Arlingsong had a question about water and sewer equipment being used, and I guess I know there's some variables to why they do or don't, but I'd like to just know a little bit about the assets that water and sewer have. I know they're not under you, but just with your knowledge of that place, what can we use from them, and do we make that phone call to them? How does that work?
So generally, it's drivers that we use from them. I believe they have 4 backhoes, which could be helpful in a dig-out catch basin type situation and clearing snow from dead ends. But they also have their own work to do. So what I rely on from them is, not rely on, but what would be nice is drivers, CDL drivers to drive our heavy trucks.
Okay, and I mean, they have 4 backhoes, and I'm just thinking here because I know they have a lot of water main breaks, right?
Sure, yeah, like I said, they have their own thing to take care of.
Is there a way to try to utilize some of the backhoes to help widen streets if needed, and their guys? Is that possible?
Again, I can't really allocate their resources, and a backhoe, a backhoe would be the proper tool for a small dead end, but not so much widening streets on Summer Street, for example.
Okay, thank you.
I am going to let Councilor McLean ask a question, Chestnut asked one.
Now, Andy, I know this might not be under your purview, but I'm wondering, everyone's talking about the streets, which are very important, but I'm wondering about our sidewalks. Just earlier today, I saw one of our residents holding on to a building in order not to slip as she was walking down the street. So I'm wondering what processes or what, procedures are we using to make sure our sidewalks are also clear for pedestrians, people with disabilities? I know a lot of the openings at the crosswalks are also blocked. So I just wanted to know, do you have any knowledge around that? It might not, be a DPW thing, but I wanted to hear.
Sure. So clearing of sidewalks in Lynn is the responsibility of the abutting landowner. Now, there are instances where the city of Lynn is the abutting landowner, like adjacent to playgrounds, adjacent to city buildings, that sort of thing. The city has like miscellaneous lots around the city that we own. But by the same token, a sidewalk in front of 195 Market Street, I don't even know if that's a real address, but 195 Market Street is to be cleared by the property owner of 195 Market Street, including the access into the crosswalks. And that's an ordinance, and that's enforced by inspectional services.
So we're able to report any business or any property owner that we can just say this.
Oh yeah, they have inspectors, they issue fines. Yep. And I don't want to say
You're not saying.
call us ISD, but that's what I'm
I
going to
just
say.
wanted to understand the process. Thank you, Andy.
Yep, you're welcome.
All right. I am going to ask one more question because it was one of my complaints everyone has had. Potholes. Are we out there filling potholes?
Yes, ma'am, we are.
All right. Because everyone has an issue with them, so if you guys can just keep filling those potholes, it will make us and the constituents very happy.
Understood, we're taking care of it.
All right. What is,
No, we do it as soon as we're not plowing, we start filling potholes.
It's not dependent on the temperatures?
Nope. We have to drive further to get hot asphalt this time of year.
Okay.
But we fill potholes with hot asphalt.
thank you, Andy. We
All right.
appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. And if anyone has any questions that they think of after the fact, feel free to give me a phone call. Thank you.
What is the wish of the committee? Do you have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
It was miscommunication.
Licensing Committee for Tuesday, February 25th. Roll call, please, Madam Clerk.
Counsel Field?
Present.
Present Counsel Hogan?
Present.
Present Counsel Net?
Present.
Present Counsel Allensburg?
Present.
Present Counsel Meji Madre?
Present.
Perfect attendance. Thank you to the everybody here for licensing for the 20-minute or so delay. Apologize, but it's some important city business to discuss with Public Works. Madam Clerk?
Okay. We have new taxi operators, Felix Chalas, 30 Lowell Street, Peabody.
Mr. Shallows is here. What's the wish of the committee?
Make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second, any discussion? None, all in favor to approve? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, that license is granted and is ready downstairs in the clerk's office. Thank you, Mr. Shallows. Gracias.
¿Entendió? ¿Entendió lo que le dijo? ¿Entendió lo que le dijo? Que ya está aprobado. What room is it?
204?
Vaya, tiene que
201.
201.
201.
201, ya está listo, que lo vaya a recoger.
Okay, we have Wilson Duran Seguro, 40 Nahat Ave in Revere.
Driver's license.
Wilson? Wilson.
Here you are. What's the wish of the committee?
Make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to
Second.
approve. Second, any discussion? None, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? That license is granted and is ready right now in room 201. Thank you, sir.
Vaya al 201, le van a dar la licencia. Vaya de una vez abajo.
Okay, we have Walter Lopez Martin, 315 Chestnut Street.
He's here. What's the wish of the committee?
She here?
He is here.
Oh, make a motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve. Second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That license is granted and is ready right now in room 201. Thank you, sir.
Lo mismo.
Okay, we have George Luz Fuentes. George?
Is here. Wish of the committee?
Motion to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That license is granted and is also ready right now in room 201.
There we have Arnulfo Nees Lucas.
He is here. What's the wish of the committee?
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? None. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? That license is granted and is ready downstairs right now in room 201. Thank you.
We have Yuri Ventura.
Vaya al 201, le van a dar la licencia. Ya está aprobada.
Gracias. De nada.
Okay, Yuri Ventura, 21 Franklin Street.
Mr. Ventura? Yuri, are you here?
Is he here?
I don't see him.
Make a motion to
Ventura?
table.
We have a motion to table. Second, non-debatable. All in favor to table? Aye. Opposed? That license is tabled and not ready.
And final is Roberto Yanes Umazor, 30
you.
Lyman Street. Roberto?
Thank you, Roberto.
Motion to approve.
You have a motion to approve.
Second.
Second, any discussion? None, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That license is granted and is ready now, yes?
Yep.
In the clerk's office in room 201. Thank you.
We have two tabled taxi operators, Jose Cerda Almonte.
Is Mr.
Second
Cerda
time.
Almonte here? Jose Cerda Almonte?
He's not here.
He is not here, we've already
Make a
tabled.
motion to deny.
We have a motion to
Second.
deny. Second, any discussion on denying? None, all in favor to deny?
Aye.
Opposed? That license has been denied.
And the final one is Junior Dyson, 1 Kingswood Lane.
Junior's here, thank you, Dyson. Mr. Dyson?
Dyson?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? None, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That license is granted and is ready right now in
Yes, it
room
is.
201 in the clerk's office. Thank you very much.
Okay, we have a couple of canning dates.
Couple of canning dates.
We have Lynn, Wyoming Little League, adults only, May 30, 31st, and June 1st, 2025. And we also have canning for Lynn Youth Hockey, adults only, on,
October 3rd, 4th, and
October, wow, 3rd, 4th, and 5th.
be here before you know it. What's the wish of the committee on those two
Motion to
canning dates?
approve.
We'll take them
Second.
both together, yes? Yep.
Sure,
Okay,
take
motion
them
to approve,
together.
seconded. Any discussion on either of those? None, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Both dates are granted for Wyoming Little League and Lynn Youth Hockey. Any other business, Madam Clerk?
Nope.
None. What's the wish of the committee?
Make a motion to adjourn.
You have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second, any discussion? No. All in favor to adjourn? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned.
All right, call to order Public Property and Parks Committee agenda. Roll call, please.
Counselor Chakutis.
Present.
Present Counselor LaPierre.
Present.
Present Counselor Net.
Present.
Present Counselor Matul.
Present.
Present Counselor Allensug.
Present.
All right, we have one request.
We have a request from the Girl Scout troop to set up table in the foyer to sell Girl Scout cookies. Dates or date to be determined.
All right, what's the wish of the
As
council?
soon as possible. No, motion to approve.
Every week.
Second.
How's tonight
Is
sound?
there a second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, any other business?
No other business, just the cookies.
What's the motion of,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Good evening. Welcome to the Ways and Means Committee meeting. Madam Clerk, I ask for a roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Present?
Present Counsel Hogan?
Present.
Present Counsel Chakutis?
Present.
Present Counsel Walsh? Counsel Walsh, absent. Counsel Field?
Present.
Present.
Would you please read the new transfers?
Okay, we have $20,000 from reserve to the police expense to fund operational needs of the department.
Motion to approve?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh, absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Could you please read certified funds?
$633,985.48 to the police department for the Mass Municipal Public Safety Staffing Program.
Motion to approve?
Would I hear second?
Second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net? Yes.
Yes.
Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh, absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. $290,000 to the police department to support the Behavioral Health Intervention Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh, absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. $100,000 to the police department to support the Behavioral Health Unit.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh? Absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. $75,000 to the school department by the United Way SEMA Project RISE program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh, absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes. And we have $10,000 to the school department for the IEP Students Grant Program.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh, absent. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Yes.
Orders, please.
We have one order, $175,000 from free cash to pay the cost of a study for window door replacements at Sisson School.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Counsel Net? Yes.
Yes.
Counsel Hogan?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Counsel Field?
Yes.
Is any emergency to this? No emergency. Right, Board of Service Committee?
Motion to adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
We made
Thank
it.
you. The meeting
Yeah, we did it
adjourned.
that time,
Thank you.
right? They just want to get.
Okay, all right. To call the Tuesday, February 25th council meeting to order. Roll call.
Counselor Allensug.
Present.
Present Counselor Chakutis.
Present.
Present Counselor Field.
Present.
Present Counselor Hogan.
Present.
Present Counselor LaPierre.
Present.
Present Counselor Matul.
Present.
Present Counselor McLean.
Present.
Present Counselor Meany. Absent Counselor Meji Madre.
Present.
Present Counselor Net.
Present.
Present and Counselor Walsh.
Present. Would we all rise for a moment of silence followed by the Pledge of Allegiance, please? Like to just, the Connors family.
The family of Carmen Mercado.
The family of Jessica Giuppini.
Harrington family.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Accept the minutes from February 11th.
So moved.
The motion is
Second.
second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Communications.
Okay, we have communications from His Honor the Mayor. Dear councilors, I am hereby appointing the following members effective immediately. To the Public Library Board of Trustees, Julissa Hernandez, 18 Waverly Street. Her term will expire on April 1st, 2027. And Rachel Ramirez, 2 Mosher Road. Her term will expire on April 1st, 2027. To the Human Rights Commission, Tim Potter, 14 Hovey Terrace. His term will expire on December 21st, 2026. Sincerely, Mayor Jared C. Nicholson.
It's the wish of the council.
Motion to approve.
Motion approved. Second discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Public hearings.
We have no public hearings.
No public hearings. Public hearings to be set down.
And we have the petition of the Lynn Fireworks Fund for Fiesta Shows to hold a carnival in the open lot between Federal Street and Center Street. That's behind the Western Ave Firehouse on the following dates in 2025: April 3rd to April 13th, June 18th to the 22nd, July 31st through August 10th, September 18th through the 28th. The hours of operation will be weekdays 5 p.m. to 10 p.m., 10:30, and Saturday and Sunday 1 p.m. to 10:30 p.m.
It's the wish of the council.
Motion to set them down.
Set them down. Second. All in favor?
Okay, we have one more to set down.
One
I'm
more to
sorry.
set down. Oh, we're going to start charging by the minute here. Go ahead.
Set down the HUD 5-year consolidated plan and the 1-year action plan.
What's the wish of the council?
Set it down.
Motion to
Second
set it
that.
down. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, set it down. We're off. Yeah, let's see, committees. Public Works, Councilor Jakutis.
Basically just an informational meeting. Motion to approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right. Licensing, Council Field.
Thank you, Mr. President. We have a unanimous vote by our licensing committee. I make a motion to approve.
The motion to approve. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, moving right along. Public property and parks. Who had that? Councilor Jakutis, busy night.
A busy night tonight. Unanimous vote of the committee. Motion to approve.
The motion to approve. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, it's approved. Ways and Means, Councilor Net.
Oh, thank you, Mr. President. All unanimous vote of the committee, I make a motion to approve.
Motion to approve. We have the clerk read the transfers in.
We have transfers laid over from February 11th. $50,000 from reserve to the care of dogs to fund the needs of the department. $1,000 from the LPD expense to a bill of prior year for a retired officer. We have new transfers, $20,000 from reserve to the police expense to fund the operational needs of the department. Certified funds, $633,985.48 to the police department, to the Mass Municipal Public Safety Staffing Program. $290,000 to the police department to support the Behavioral Health Intervention Program. $100,000 to the police department to support the Behavioral Health Unit. $75,000 to the school department by the United Way SEMA Project RISE program. $10,000 to the school department for the IEP Students Grant Program. And we have one order to be read in full. Thank you, Jim. Ordered that the City of Lynn has appropriated the amount of $175,000 from its free cash line item for the purpose of paying costs of a feasibility study, schematic design study for the window door replacement on the Edward A. Sisson Elementary School, located at 58 Canomo Ave in Lynn, including the payment of all costs incidental or related hereto, and for which a grant from the Mass School Building Authority, MSBA, said amount to be expended under the direction of the School Building Committee. Thank you. The City of Lynn acknowledges that the MSBA's grant program is a non-entitlement discretionary program based on need, as determined by the MSBA, and any cost of the City of Lynn incurs in excess of any grant approved by and here received by the MSBA shall be the sole responsibility of the City of Lynn. Further order that His Honor the Mayor is hereby authorized to execute a project funding agreement between the City of Lynn and the MSBA Authority under and pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 44, or pursuant to any other enabling authority, and all other necessary documents related thereto for a possible window door replacement at the Edward Sisson Elementary School, that the amount of borrowing authorized pursuant to this vote shall be reduced by any grant amount set forth in the project funding agreement that may be executed by the City of Peabody and the Mass Building Authority, and that this vote be adopted and read. The City of Lynn has previously been invited into an accelerated repair program for said possible window door replacement.
All right, so we have a motion. We have a second.
Second.
Second. Any discussion on this? Roll call?
Oh, sorry. Counselor Annette?
Present. Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry, I have to do all of them. Counselor Alanson?
Yes.
Yes, I was on the wrong page.
I mean,
It's okay.
Oh, all right, I made one mistake. One mistake.
You know, sheesh. Hi, Councilor.
Glad you all had a good laugh. Counselor Chakutis?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Field?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hogan?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor LaPierre?
Yes.
Counselor Matul?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor McLean?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Meany? Absent. Counselor Mejia Madre?
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Net?
Yes.
Counselor Walsh?
Yes. Councilor Net, there was no emergencies on that, correct?
There's no emergency, Mr. President.
Okay, all right, thank you. I think we may have some, do we have old business or new business? What do we have?
New business.
Do we have any old business first?
No old business.
No old business, we have some new business.
We have some new
Councilor Field?
Yep, thank you, Mr. President. We have an update from Candace McClory from the Opioid Working Group. She chairs that committee, that group, I'm sorry. And she's going to give us an update, and the residents at home, they'll be able to follow along soon to the printouts that Ms. McClory just passed out to all of us for some important updates as far as the grants that have been awarded
Oh, nice.
and some other plans that we have going on in the city to kind of just update my colleagues on the council and everyone in the community of how we're handling the opioid abatement funds from the government and the settlements from the opioid pandemic. Thank you.
Okay, all right, how you doing?
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me here today. I just wanted to give you guys an update on the progress that we've made within the opioid working group. We've done quite a few things, very exciting things. One of the first things that we've done is we did our community organization innovation grants. And of those, we funded 9 programs with a total of $247,000. And in those programs, that entails Lynn Youth Street Outreach for $50,000 for a 14-passenger van, Ruth's Way on 26 Waits Ave, $50,000 for resource recovery kits, including 8 weeks of housing, that is a sober home. Lynn Senior Center on 37 Friend Street, $47,000 for intergenerational activities for grandparents raising their grandchildren. The Recovery Exchange on 35 Exchange Street will be receiving $20,000 for sober home scholarships. Girls Inc. on 50 High Street will be receiving $20,000 for funds to support their Odyssey program. The Lynn Comprehensive Treatment Center on 11 Circle Ave will be receiving $20,000 to support their wraparound services. Mario's Mission on 26 Sagamore Street will be receiving $20,000 for sober home sponsorships, sober home scholarships. Lynn Community Health Center will be receiving $10,000 for support services, including transportation, emergency assistance, and basic needs. And Soul City Yoga on 196 Oxford Street will be receiving $10,000 for a year-long subscription for fitness classes and workshops for people in recovery. In addition to that, we also recently released our community vending machine, which so far since January 24th, we've had 200 total transactions.
Wow.
This includes 68 hygiene kits, 50 hats and gloves, 34 sexual health kits, 25 wound care kits, 15 Narcan kits, and 8 shops containers. Additionally, we also have our naloxone box program, which I'm sure you guys are all familiar with, where we have our Narcan available in cabinets throughout the community. We have 5 currently, and we are looking into purchasing 5 additional ones. Through those boxes, we have, through our Narcan program, we have given out 625 kits of Narcan. And through the naloxone boxes alone, we have given out 429 naloxone kits to the community. And additionally, we gave out 196 naloxone kits, and that was to people that attended a Narcan training. So that was whether I went out to a program or they came to City Hall to have a Narcan program. Of those trainings, we've trained a total of 130 people throughout the community on how to use Narcan in overdose education. Lastly, we have our syringe kiosks, which we currently have 2, which are pictured below on Willow Street. And they currently have collected 473 syringes. And we have purchased 5 additional sharps containers, the ones to your right, that we will be putting in high-risk areas where syringes are found in the community. In your packets, I also included some information that we got from Chief O'Toole regarding overdose statistics that have been in our community. So January, we have had a total of 14 overdoses. However, in October, 2 of the fatal overdoses that we have seen have been shown to have what is called nitazines in them, which makes the fentanyl a lot more risky to overdose because it is 47 times more stronger than fentanyl itself. So we're seeing these products being put into the drug supply within the community, which obviously raises a risk and a concern for potential overdoses. And that is why it's really important that we continue to have our Narcan program and promote naloxone access and overdose trainings. In your little packet, I also included some information from the Department of Public Health. This press release was released May of 2024 regarding the nitazines. This is an ongoing concern with the drug supply in the area. And like I said, it's just a lot more stronger than the fentanyl and puts people at a higher risk for an overdose. We are currently looking into purchasing nitazene test strips where people will be able to test the drug to see if it is nitazene in it and then make, educated assumptions on what to do with that substance after that. So that's where we are at right now. We are looking into other initiatives such as scholarships programs and buying additional sharps containers. Like I said, we do have 5 right now. They are sold out, so we're looking to see if we can get them from a different vendor to get additional ones. If anybody has any questions, I would be happy to answer anything you may have.
I just have one question, if I could. Just in light of, I saw an article on the news last night, and Attorney Lamont happened to be on there, and I noticed on here, talks about paying for sober homes. I just want to be sure that we're making sure that that money is going to reputable sober homes, because from what I've learned about this, there's 2 different types, and
Yes.
I would be very disappointed if it went to some of those other sober.
Yes. So thankfully, because of the working group that we are in, we have people from different aspects of treatment. So people in our group are familiar with the ongoings of the sober homes. And, there's something called MASH certification. So we are recommending that funds to support sober homes are only going to MASH certified sober homes. So that is the Massachusetts Association for Sober Homes, and they certify sober homes such as Ruth's Way.
Curiosity, I'll put you on the spot for a second.
Yeah.
Do you think that the city should have an ordinance that we only allow MASH certified sober homes?
I think it's really important that we have MASH certified sober homes for reasons like we've seen in the news. I can't speak to whether there should be an ordinance or not, but I do think that it is really important that there is some sort of oversight regarding sober homes in the area.
Thank you. I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but it's been something that's been rattling around my head for a while, and I was curious to just get your opinion.
Yes.
I don't know who, Councilor Arlington.
Thank you, Mr. President. Candace, thank you so much for this report. I totally echo what you're saying. I was about to ask that question, too. If we're giving scholarship or money assistance, I think we need to know and be strict about the selection process as well. Candace, the 247,000, what is the process of selection and the process of application?
So back in September, we had open applications to any organization that either serves Lynn clients or is based in Lynn to apply. So we had, I believe, this number may not be correct, excuse me, around 17 applications that had come in. So of those 17, we met with our opioid working group and discussed, based on our buckets that we had originally set up in the beginning, where they fell in and the applications to make sure it supported the surveys that we put out, because we also did the surveys to see where community members thought we should spend the money. So we made sure that we were looking for, varied levels of treatment, levels of care. We wanted to make sure that we weren't just focusing on one specific aspect of, funding. So it was a group decision through the opioid working group, the final decision on who received the funds.
Another question is for the Narcan stations and the syringe kiosk, right? What are the procedure of emptying those containers?
So I currently empty them as of now. I go out once a week and I just grab the boxes and put a new one in there. As far as that's for the syringe kiosk. As far as the Narcan boxes go, myself and Stacy Borgensen, Lieutenant of the Fire Department, I don't know exactly her position there, but she fills the boxes on Tuesdays and then I fill them on Friday.
So the 473 needles collected, in how many, what's the time frame, time span for this? The whole year?
That's about approximately a year.
Yeah.
I believe 9 months,
Right.
but approximately a year's time.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Jacutis, then Councilor
Hey,
McLean.
Candace, I had a question on the status of the overdoses, where they've gone down.
Yeah.
Do you think they've gone down because we have the Narcan through the city and they're just not being reported?
That we do think that is part of it, not necessarily that they're not happening, it's just that they're not reporting, because you don't always need to call 911 if you have an overdose. Obviously, it's very highly recommended, especially since you can fall back into an overdose after it wears off. But 911 is not always called in every case, so that is a possibility.
Thank you.
All right, Councilor McLean.
I was wondering, is the grant window closed, or can organizations continue to apply?
It is closed as of now. We are currently trying to figure out where our funding is at now, what the balances are, to see if we do have enough to do another round of grants for organizations.
And then I wanted to know, of the 14 overdoses, do you know the age and ethnic group of those 14?
Not off the top of my head, but I could definitely get you that information.
Okay, and then I had one more question now that I can't even think of it. I do want to comment on the variety of the organizations and the initiatives. I think you guys did a great job of spreading that out and getting a lot of different types of programs going. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
All right, any other questions from the councilors? Sorry, Councilor Field. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to comment. Thank you, Candace, for coming. I know I requested that she comes periodically to update the council so that we can answer the questions that we're facing from the residents as far as different things going on in the city and what we're doing. I know Candace was featured on a news station not too long ago where they only reported about 10% of what she really said. So they missed kind of the positives. It was about 90% of the positives and the 10% of the not complete interview. So kudos to her for spotlighting the city and what the opioid working group has been doing. And that's what's expected of us, as councilors in the city, how to support these organizations with the money that's been granted to the city. It was very specific that she mentioned that it's for Lynn residents and Lynn groups. That's how we focused our attention. Some of the ideas that were presented to us in these grant requests were even things that we couldn't even think of. And we spent a lot of time as we meet monthly considering different things, for example, seniors raising their kids because the parents or guardians of these children have substance abuse issues, and how do we support elderly grandparents that are raising teenagers now, and different things like that. And that's just one example. So the parameter of what was presented to us, what we had to decide who was receiving funding, and we were critical. It was similar to how ARPA was done throughout the city. Was, do they meet this criteria that's required, and are they thinking outside the box a little bit? Are they meeting areas that we didn't even consider? And how does it fall back towards the opioid settlements where this money really came from? So I felt it's important that Candace comes here, updates all of us. There's so much more. This could go on for an hour of all the things that we do discuss and all the groups that have formed. Certainly that newscast last night that has been taken into consideration months and months before. Yes, it probably should be an ordinance on the books, but the way the state oversees them right now, it's kind of good because they know specifically what they're looking for, because some of the organizations just aren't focused on just Lynn, but they're regional. So just shutting them down in a city doesn't help Salem or Peabody or Revere or Chelsea or wherever else they're popping up. So having a statewide organization overseeing it and kind of relying back to us. I just wanted to touch base really quick on page 3 of Deputy O'Toole's report. Yes, the number of reports of overdoses is down, and that could be because of the Narcan use and the ability to get that to save a life, and the fatal overdoses are down. This report from just this past week, I think just in the past couple of days, from Deputy O'Toole, talking about some of the new stuff. So before it was heroin, and then we got into the fentanyl, and how much stronger fentanyl is. These new drugs that are coming into these cities are now 40 to 50 times stronger than fentanyl. And we're going to probably see this, if it does come into the city, get a lot worse before it gets better. And that's our concern as a group, and it should be the concern of everyone in the city and public safety. But this is an important report for that the city's wants to pay attention to. So thank you.
Okay, all right.
One thing,
Councilor Hogan.
Candace, 473 syringes not on our streets or in our parks or on our sidewalks is amazing. And for you to go out and empty those boxes, I commend you for that.
Thank you.
And thank you, because we clean these parks and we make sure to keep this city safe for kids, and I thank you a lot for that.
Thank you.
Yep, all right. Anything else from the council?
I do. I remember
Councilor McLean.
saying, but I wanted to talk about, I don't know if the community realizes, because when I went to one of the opioid meetings, the one that I was able to attend, I was very impressed to hear that our city is seen as a prototype for these types of initiatives, and that we reach out to other communities to try to help them address these issues in their community. So I wanted to hear you talk a little bit about that, because I'm not sure if the community realizes that, and if our city residents realizes that Lynn is being seen as, the first in this way.
We've definitely have done quite a few things that other communities haven't had. For example, the Narcan boxes, we did start that in our region, Essex County, and then, now Salem has followed, and they have their Narcan boxes as well. Harm reduction vending machine, we are the second in the entire state to have one. The only other region that has a vending machine is the Berkshires. And the reason they have it is because, I won't get into it, but they were neglected for so many years because they are so far out there. So that's why they got their vending machines first. So we are, again, another first for innovative ideas on how to tackle overdoses and the current climate of drug use. And yeah, we have sat down with several people from Revere, Chelsea, Everett, Swampscott, to tell them the things that we have done and how they've worked. We've shared our policies, we've shared our procedures and our manuals with them. So yeah, we are leading the way, I feel, in substance use and spending the abatement funds appropriately and very intentionally. We also want to make sure that the things that we're spending the funding on is something that can be sustainable. That's really important for us as well. Yeah, that's really about it.
Thank you for that. Anything else from the council? Thank you for coming and explaining it. Yes, I've driven through Revere, I believe, just recently, and
Yeah.
I noticed they have Narcan box. It might have been Chelsea, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
But,
I think they do also have.
They do,
some
right? So
recently,
I've seen 'em.
We
So
we shared our
definitely-
policy with them.
yep, then it's an issue starting to be seen out there. I wish we wouldn't have to have them, but,
Yeah.
you know, we have them. So, but I appreciate everything everyone's done. Councilor Field helping. One thing, if that window opens again for those, can you let us know when those opportunities for people to apply for those dollars?
Absolutely.
A lot of it's considering with the federal funding, and, you know, it falls into that too. A lot of it's from the entitlements.
Yes.
But some of it has come from the federal government, and we don't want to promise a certain amount and then all of a sudden see the funding cut overnight.
Understand. So, all right. Well, thank you. I
Thank you
appreciate
all.
for coming. Is there any other new business from the council tonight?
Thank you.
What is the wish of the council? Councilor Net?
I make a motion to adjourn, Mr.
Motion to
President.
adjourn. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Yay.